guys, it's Jessii Vee, and today we're going to be continuing our It's Near You series, and this episode is on Delaware. And I have found some extremely disturbing and creepy things that reside there. Are you even ready for this? Before I get started though, just want to remind you, I do have a new background behind me. If you have not seen yet, it is sparkly mermaid scales, which I love. And if you would like to win it, all you have to do is be subscribed to this channel, so my Jessii Vee channel, turn on your notification bell, and then head over to my Instagram page, follow me there, and DM me the color mermaid scale you would have if you were a mermaid. I feel like mine would be like this maybe. Alright guys, let's get into the urban legends and haunted places in Delaware. The first place is called Fort Delaware. Fort Delaware is located on Pea Patch Island, and its construction was completed in 1859, so it's been there for quite some time. It once was home to 13,000 prisoners. And as you guys know, with history usually comes some paranormal activity. Many people have witnessed ghost activity in the tunnels. It has such a reputation for being haunted that the TV show Ghost Hunters actually did an episode there. Their thermal camera picked up lots of activity in the tunnels and loud noises that sounded like cannon fire. Guests have reported feeling hands on their shoulders, losing necklaces, and hearing those same loud cannon booms. I don't know about you guys, but anything to do with tunnels really freaks me out. First, because I'm claustrophobic, and second, because I feel like trapped with the spirits in there. Wouldn't want to do that. Alright, let's move on to the Addie C Bed and Breakfast. The Addie C Bed and Breakfast was built in 1902. It has 13 rooms, and it is reported that at least 3 of them are haunted. There have been accounts of paranormal activity in rooms 1, 6, and 11. Room 1 is said to have a haunted bathroom. The tub is said to violently shake sporadically, and many guests have experienced it. Could you imagine sitting having a relaxing bath, and suddenly it's just like, I dropped my phone again. Organ music can be heard coming from room 6, even though there's no organ there. And room 11 is haunted by a man who used to work for the Addie C, and his apparition is usually seen sitting on the actual bed or standing in the corner of the room. And apparently, even if you don't book one of these 3 haunted rooms, you'll still hear some really strange things, because apparently there's a ghost on the roof. So all through the night you can hear footsteps like walking around on the top of the roof. Apparently, because the original owners of this inn, their son actually tragically fell off the roof, so his spirit like lingers there. So a lot happens at this place. Oh, and one other really weird thing that happens to guests that stay there is that they frequently get locked in their closets. What? Like they have to call for help because someone locked them in the closets. Alright, let's move on to the legend of Old Maggie's Bridge. This story really freaks me out, and it's actually a very tragic and sad story as well. One night, almost 200 years ago, a pregnant woman named Maggie Bloxam was traveling back to her home. Her horse spooked, and her carriage was flipped into a shallow creek, and since, she has haunted the bridge. It was a serious moment. Why did I sneeze? So when people hear this tragic story, they usually say, oh, it's just folklore, it's not actually real, that never actually happened. But Maggie Bloxam is actually buried in a cemetery nearby. Her actual gravestone is there in real life, but they're saying that her spirit lingers on this bridge. Those looking to reach out to Maggie park near the bridge and walk towards the creek, where they'll yell, Maggie, I have your baby. So they will literally taunt this poor ghost, saying they have their child, and there'll be reports of this woman screaming or wailing coming from the nearby woods. The local legend has many different versions of what happens when you call out to Maggie from this bridge, but most say that the call must be made at midnight or during the witching hour, which is 3 a.m. So here is a different version of calling Maggie's name 3 times. If you call Maggie, 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 it says you'll hear the hooves of the horse that she was on coming down the road. And if you call it again, Maggie, 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 you might see a shadow coming out of the woods near the bridge. And if you call her a 3rd time, Maggie, 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 she will emerge emerge from the woods with her head in her hands, wanting you to bring her back to life and give her her child. So it's super creepy, and I've always found it so sad when people actually go and try to taunt spirits. I feel like that just should never be a thing. People also say that Maggie can be best seen on the night of a blue moon. Other people have reported their car acting strange when they drive over this bridge. Some people's engines will literally just turn off and they'll be stuck on the bridge. All right, let's move on to Catman's grave. The Catman is a gravekeeper who chases troublemakers away from Long Cemetery in Frankfurt. The legend is that when this gravekeeper died, he took on cat-like features, which is strange and I don't really understand how that works. But it's like he died and turned into this creepy cat man, and he basically scares kids away from partying in the cemetery. But be careful, because if you knock on his above ground tomb and disturb his rest, he'll tinker with your car so that it won't start when you go to leave. So if you mess around in the cemetery or go and knock on his grave, he will not let you leave. Which is pretty scary. All right, let's move on to Woodburn Mansion. Woodburn Mansion was built in 1790. It's a 7-bedroom house that has been home to many of Delaware's wealthy citizens. But throughout all the years and all the residents of the governor's house, the ghosts of Woodburn Mansion have never left. And many people actually consider this place to be the most haunted house in Delaware. The first ghost that was ever seen here was reported in 1820. That's a long time ago. Basically, the homeowners had a guest over one night, and that guest was walking up the stairs to go to bed, and they saw this strange person standing in one of the bedrooms, wasn't moving. And the next day when they told the owners of the house, the owners were like, no, you were the only guest here, there's no one else here. So clearly that guest had seen a ghost in the house. They say the dining room is particularly haunted by what people call the wine ghosts. The owner reported that he'd fill his wine decanter every night and find it empty the next morning. So these ghosts are apparently wine drinkers and literally steal all the wine from the dining room. So random. And a young girl is seen often in the garden wearing a red checkered gingham dress. She loves to splash and play in the pools and fountains, and she is seen floating shyly around the house, sometimes tugging on people's clothes. So every part of the house is haunted. Like if you're outside, if you're in the dining room, if you're upstairs, it's all very haunted. And the last place we're going to be talking about is Lum's Pond State Park. People say that these woods are hiding a very dark secret. In the 1870s, one young girl from Newcastle County ran away from an unhappy home and found a spot to stay beneath the forest canopy. Unfortunately for her, she was not the only one in the woods that summer. She was attacked and unfortunately passed away there. So they say that her spirit haunts this park, and if you're ever taking a hike, you should stop and listen, and apparently you'll hear her speak to you. Time and time again, solo hikers hear shrill screams or cries for help coming from the woods. So this is also a very tragic story, and they say that you'll usually hear her or see her if you're hiking alone. So that's definitely really spooky, but those are all of the haunted places in Delaware we're going to be talking about today. If you're from there, or if there's a place that I missed, definitely comment it down below, because there were a lot of places that I could have covered as well. And as usual, I want to just go to all these places, except for tunnels. Tunnels freak me out. But yeah, I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!